So welcome to Etoro For Beginners, episode 3, The Phantom Menace. And yes, I know that is not the correct chronological order for all of the Star Wars movies, but here we are, the menace that is shorting. Whether you have no clue what shorting is, or you're looking on how to place a short on Etoro, this is the video for you. We're going to cover what a short actually is, and also how to place one using Etoro's platform. But as always, before we get into it, if you could appease the YouTube gods by making sure that like button is turned blue, it would greatly help me out. I know these videos don't rank well and they don't get many views, so honestly every single like really does help. So please do me that kind favor and double check that you have turned that like button blue. And if you have not signed up with Etoro yet, if you do so via the link on the pinned comment, sign up, deposit, and make a trade, you get lifetime access to the LWT Etoro chat room, where like-minded investors come together and talk about which stocks we're looking at buying or even shorting. So if you want lifetime access to this chat room, all you've got to do is check out the pinned comment and follow the simple instructions. Now, shorting a stock, what is it? Basically, a lot of people don't understand that you can actually make money if a stock is falling to the downside. Everybody knows if you buy low and sell high, you should make money. But what happens if you sell high and buy low? Surely that is a way of making money too. And that in essence is what a short is. You simply are borrowing shares from somebody, selling them immediately at a price, and then hopefully the stock price falls and you buy back them borrowed shares at a lower price and give them back to the person you've borrowed them from, and the difference is your profit or loss. But if you're lost and it's confusing, I completely get it. So let me tell you what it is in quite simple and basic terms. Let's say we have a stock and let's call it Apple. And Apple is currently riding at $100, and we have Timmy, and Timmy owns 100 shares of Apple, and he bought them at $5. Apple's now at 100, and he's got no intention of probably ever selling this stock. But what Timmy can do is he can borrow his shares to the market for a fee, which means Timmy earns a little bit of extra interest on top of his current position. And then Jeff comes along, and Jeff thinks Apple is really overvalued and it's gonna fall massively when the top dog at Apple comes out and starts clubbing baby seals at the next launch of the iPhone. So Jeff comes in and says, "Hey Timmy, look, we've been friends for a long time. Could you borrow me your 100 Apple shares?" Timmy then goes, "Yeah, of course, Jeff, I'll borrow you the shares. You need to pay me $5. So Jeff goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna make more than $5. Then Jeff immediately goes ahead and sells them shares at $100. So Jeff has took them 100 shares and sold them at $100, which equates to $10,000 US. But Jeff still owes 100 shares at some point in the future to Timmy. Now Apple goes ahead and does what it does. And Tim Cook in the next release of the iPhone pulls out a baby seal and starts clubbing it to death. And as a result, the Apple share price falls all the way down to $50. At this point, Jeff thinks this is a good time to buy the shares at a decent discount. He buys the 100 shares back at $5,000 because Apple's stock price has fell in half. He gives these shares back to Timmy, and Timmy is happy because he's got back his 100 shares, he's earned a little bit of interest while Jeff made the short, and Jeff has made the difference, which would be in this scenario $5,000 US. That is how shorting works. I know it's confusing, and if you're still not getting it, maybe go back and re-watch this a few times, write down in drawings on how it works, and I guarantee you eventually it will make sense. But if you don't care about how it works or what the hell it is, dead simply put, if you short a stock and it goes down, you make money. It's the exact inverse of buying and selling a stock, but it's not that simple. If we go over to Etoro's platform, we're going to go through some of the steps right now. But I also want to stress, it's not as cheap as people think, and there's a lot of fees that you need to talk about along with a lot of risks. So let's jump over to the platform. So you may remember in the last video, we made a trade, we bought it, we sold it, and I can't remember if we made or lost money. You'll have to let me know that down in the comments because it's been quite a long day if I'm being honest. But looking back at it, we now have our main portfolio. We've got $350 US sat there doing absolutely nothing, and I've decided that Tesla is due a short. I think Tesla is going down fast, so we need to hurry up and short this company. So if we look at Tesla, we can see that it's currently up. We can do our research, which we've just done. Congratulations on doing research so fast. And we can see that we think this company is going all the way down to what some analysts think at $166 or even $150, as it clearly states here. Like I said, it's been a long day. But we can click trade here and we can go in, and if we see at the top here, if the stock has this option to sell, that is basically shorting. I think eToro should change this from sell to short, but that's just my personal preference. But some stocks do not have this. If we look at a company like AMC, a popular one for the shorts as of late because of the whole short squeeze, if we click trade, we can see that there isn't an option to sell it. Now, this comes down to a lot of things. As I said, the broker like eToro, Interactive Brokers, whoever it may be, needs to go and borrow these shares from long-term investors who are willing to borrow them. If they're not willing to borrow, it could be classed as something called hard to borrow, and then the fees become astronomical, and it's not really worth shorting. But in AMC's case, it's also hard to borrow, but it's also a way of protecting investors because this short squeeze has been absolutely crazy lately. But coming back to it, Tesla we know is easy to borrow and we can short it. So let's have a little look. If we click sell, we know that we can put an order in, or we can put what's called a trade or a market order. We think that, in fact, I'm very confident Tesla's going to fall, so I'm going to put in $150 to the short side. And here's where it differs to other brokers. We have something here at the bottom, CFD trade, a contract for difference. Now again, a contract for difference, dead simply put, is you're not borrowing shares from Timmy, you are buying a contract from a provider. Whether that's eToro or a different broker, you're buying a contract. You don't actually owe Timmy 100 shares, you just have a personal agreement with the company providing the CFD. That's the simplest way of putting it. If you want to know more on CFDs, let me know down in the comments and maybe I'll add it to this series. But simply put, it means there's a bit more of a spread, and people should really check this out. If we click sell, we can see right now Tesla is 336.87, 84. But if we click buy, we can see that it's actually a lot difference in price. We can see that between the sell, it's really nearly $1 difference. And this dollar is what eToro would make in terms of a spread pretty much instantaneously. And it's a fee structure that people need to understand. But when you come to short Tesla, in this example, it could be a lot cheaper than actually borrowing the shares anyway. And what I mean by that is if we go down to the bottom, the overnight fee, if I keep this trade open overnight, is 1 cent. And if I keep it open over the weekend, it's 0.4 cents. That is the ongoing fees that I would normally pay to, say, Timmy or whoever it may be. And let me tell you, this is actually not too bad in terms of fees. I know with other brokers like TradeZero, which I use for day trading, the overnight fee can literally be hundreds of dollars. So I don't think this is that bad. We've obviously got the same things, the stop losses, the leverage. I strongly suggest if you are shorting, especially never to use leverage. Reason being is when you're shorting, the downside of shorting is you can only make maximum really 99 or even in some cases close to 100% because the stock can only go down that much before it disappears. But if you bought a stock, it can go up 1,000%, 10,000%, it can go up indefinitely. But on the way down, you can only make a certain percentage, which is where it gets complicated because let's go ahead and place this trade. So I'm going to click open trade. I've just shorted Tesla. If we go into our portfolio, we can see that I'm already, because of these fees, down 25 cents or 0.17%. But what happens if Tesla goes up 100%? What happens if that happens? What happens if it goes up 200%? My initial position of $150 would in theory be down more than $150 because on the way up, a stock can go more than 100%. But on the way down, it can only actually go down, 100% before the company's bankrupt. It's the same with a stock in the other way. If you bought it, if you bought Tesla, it can go up any amounts of percent. It can go up 2,000% and you would make that money. but you could only lose 100% of your money. I hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, you need to learn more about shorting before you go ahead and just short randomly for a YouTube video $150 of Tesla. But coming back to it, I am having shorter's remorse. That's what it's called. I need to close this position. As you can see, since we've been sat here, we're losing money fast because Tesla is going to the moon, which is a problem. I need to close this trade. Now, if you go back to the second video, I mentioned that we can sort of close out partial amounts of a trade. And we're going to do that now. And that's the reason why I picked 150 rather than just the 50. I want to close only, let's say, $100 worth of this trade and keep $50 in the short position as it stands. So I click close trade. The order has been filled. And now if we go to my portfolio, you can see that I've only still got invested $50 and 13 cents, $50.13, and the $100 or minus a few fees and losses is back into my account. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is shorting on eToro. I know it doesn't sound megally complicated, but I think people really should understand the fundamental risks with shorting. Now, should you not short? Absolutely not. I love shorting stocks because in some circumstances, you can find one of the easiest 20-30% gains you will ever make. But you have to be aware that you could also lose more than what you've put into the account. Because in some cases, there's been some horror stories with people using Robinhood where people have even committed suicide, unfortunately, where Robinhood has sent them a bill for something like, a couple of $100,000, and people have freaked the hell out. So you need to be very careful with shorting. Long story short, only put into any trade what you're willing to lose. And if you're shorting, make sure you've got enough liquidity there to put you through, but also make sure that you have true risk management and you're willing to cut the trade at a loss. That's where people mess up with shorting. They see themselves go down $50, $100, $200, and it spirals up, and they just pray to the gods that it comes down to their break even. And if they lose their discipline, there's a very good chance that's never going to happen. And you get something called a margin call. Your broker automatically closes the trade for you and says, thank you very much for all the money you've just given us. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you've made it this far in the video, do me the kindest of kind favors and drop the code word down below, which is whiskey. And I have no idea, but I'm really fancying a whiskey right now. So you can help me out, drop that down in the comments. Make sure that like button is turned blue. And if you want to see what I am buying and selling, you have two options. One is sign up with eToro on the link on the pinned comment, deposit, make a trade, and you can actually copy my coffee to 100K portfolio. There's a video for that somewhere on the channel, and I'll try and post it up there if I remember. Or the other option is you can check out Patreon. We've got some exclusive perks, including a WhatsApp group, and you can find out what I'm buying and selling in my main portfolio as it happens. So go ahead and check that out down in the description. That's it from me. Hope you found it helpful. In the next video, we're going to talk about some of the best tips that you need to be utilizing on eToro. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.